What's up guys, it's Cam coming at you from the 2-6. Welcome back to Carolina Fragrance Reviews. If you're like me, you love a good deal. So you're gonna love today's video. I have 8 fragrances, which I would actually consider 8 bangers for fall that you can get on a budget, or 8 bangers for fall on a budget. How's that? $40 or less, but my list doesn't exceed $35. So I'm gonna make this a tag video, so whoever I tag, I'll let you get up to 40, but bring the heat. Let's get into this. Before I get into the first fragrance, I figured I'd go ahead and give the channels that I'm tagging a heads up right out the gate, so we can go ahead and get into that. Ashton from Jensen's, with your infinite wisdom and holy trinity going on in the fragrance Jesus world, give me what you've got, brother. Oh. Next person I'd like to tag is the editing Jesus, Timmy from Imagine Scent. He's got a nice collection. Timmy, bring on the holiness. Last but not least, I figured I should give one of my mates over in the UK some love. So George, the Fragrance Apprentice. What have you got, mate? So now that we have that out of the way, let's go ahead and get to these 8 cheapies that really do a great job. First fragrance on the list is a really woody and masculine fragrance. This smells like a fragrance that a lot of people wish they'd bring back. It is Bentley for Men Absolute. And that fragrance I'm talking about is the Gucci Pour Homme. Yes, the fragrance that now sells for $400 to $450 if you happen to find one that somebody's willing to get off of. But the good news is this one smells so close to it. Yeah, you might as well just go ahead and pull the trigger on this one. Now I do have the EDP version. They do also have this in an EDT. But the wonderful thing about this fragrance is it was actually perfumed by the exact same perfumer that did Gucci Pour Homme. And that perfumer is none other than Michel Almeric. And I think that he probably just like omitted a couple things here and there, maybe added something here or there. I have done side by sides, but for $30 to $35, this is one heck of a banger. You get a really strong note of an Atlas cedar in here. There's also a little bit of spiciness. Very kind of rugged man's man type fragrance. I don't really see that this would be like a perfect fragrance for maybe somebody like that is a teenager, but who knows? I mean, for, you know, if you've got a little bit of coin to throw at a fragrance that smells super, super, super manly, this just might be your pick. They also say that there is oud in this fragrance. I don't really get any oud. I just get like a whole lot of wood. Now it's not just woods only, but it is a very woody, kind of like a dry woods fragrance. Let's just put it that way. But it also has a warmth about it. It's got a little bit of spiciness and a little bit of sweetness. So if you're looking for that rugged man's man fragrance to wear this fall, Bentley for Men Absolute. Next fragrance is one that I recently just checked out and was like really blown away by, and you can pick this fragrance up anywhere from $18 to $25. It is from Jesus de Pozo Halloween Man X. Yes, this fragrance, if you're a coffee lover, you're going to absolutely love this fragrance. I have smelled niche fragrances that don't have a good a coffee note as this does. Now this is a warm, sweet, and rich fragrance. As I said, you're gonna get a really good blast of coffee in this when it first opens up, but you also have a really nice note of cardamom mixed with a little bit of whiskey, so it gives it just a slight booziness. You also get a little bit of tonka bean, which makes this a really warm, rich, and sweet, delicious fragrance for, I mean, like, for the coffee lover in you. This is one that you'll go ham over, especially at the price. As far as performance goes on this, it is not like nuclear. I get about 5.5 hours as far as, you know, like longevity of performance of this fragrance, but at that price, not bad. For those of you, the younger crowd, again, the OG, the original Halloween Man, is a much sweeter, slightly more bubblegum type fragrance. You might dig this, but for the younger guys, I would say just go with the original Halloween Man, and they're both going to go for about the same money. Next fragrance comes from one of the best cheapie brands I think there is. It is Lacoste, and this one is L'Homme Intense. For those of you who are fans of Lacoste L'Homme, you'll absolutely love this. It's a much richer version. Now, it's not going to really beat the brakes off of the L'Homme as far as like, you know, sillage. I don't really think there is sillage with this fragrance, to be honest with you. The longevity is kind of but at the same time, you know, even though it does last maybe about 3 hours, for the amount of time that lasts on this fragrance, especially, you know, like I said, you know, 20, 25 bucks, not bad at all. This is one of the absolute best rhubarb notes that you're going to find in an inexpensive designer fragrance. Of course, yeah, you'll get those great rhubarb fragrances in some of these indie fragrances, you know, something from like Imaginary Authors or Precious Liquid. The rhubarb in this, to me, is like really, 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 really good. Now, other than the rhubarb note, which is, you know, going to be kind of like a tart and tanginess that you're going to get some sweetness mixed in there with some mandarin orange, and then you're going to get a bright pop of ginger with that. This also has a nice, rich, sweet accord that has some vanilla, amber, musk, and a little bit of woods that you'll pick up on the dry down. Like I said, not like over the moon performance or anything, but as far as like a quaddy cheapy Lacoste L'Homme Intense. Next fragrance up is from a brand that I heard about a little while back from my buddy Ashton over at Sense, and he actually went over the entire line. I am talking about Cremo. Now, I do own a couple of these, and the ones that I own would probably just work just fine, but the one that I picked for this, because it's my absolute favorite, is the Spice and Black Vanilla. Now, this little gem can be picked up between $20 to $23. It just depends on where you're picking it up at. You can actually go to Cremo online. You can go to places like CVS. You know, your drugstores are going to carry this. I've even seen it places like Walmart, and I had no idea how high quality these were for $20. I had actually talked to Ashton. He was like, dude, seriously, legit. For the money, these are really nice. And I think there's one or two that kind of smell similar to a couple other popular fragrances, but this isn't one of them to my knowledge anyway. This is actually a nice spicy vanilla and a dark woods, and the vanilla also has a little bit of like a darkness about it. I kid you not, this is an excellent compliment monster. Some of the compliments I've got from this fragrance have just been like, wow, a 20-buck banger pulling compliments like that. Yeah, put down the $300 fragrances, grab the Cremo. Now this one's dark, sweet, sexy, masculine. A little bit better performance on this one. I got around 5 to 5.5 hours on the longevity of this fragrance. Again, you know, 20, 25 bucks. You cannot beat it. The bottles are, you know, you just got a little sticker on here. The cap ain't nothing special, but don't let that fool you. I mean, like, here's a little look-see of what the boxes look like. Look a little, you know, even look a little generic, but trust the juice. Trust me, trust the juice. Next fragrance is from a line that gets talked about relatively often, but not this fragrance. It is the OG from John Varvatos, which is John Varvatos Cologne. Now, this can be picked up for less than 20 bucks, but if you want to go ahead and, you know, get a big bottle, a 4.2 ounce will run you about $25.99 if you get a tester at fragrance.net. This is a sweet, sexy, masculine fragrance, I think. Kind of gets overlooked, you know, when you've got like Artisan Pure, Vintage, Rebel Rider, some of those fragrances like that. Yeah, this one kind of gets overlooked, but I really enjoy this fragrance. It has a nice leather note in here, and it's a smooth leather. It's not going to be like that Tuscan leather type leather, you know, that some people aren't really fans of. Now, this fragrance isn't super dark, which is going to make it absolutely perfect for fall or even spring. You know, those cooler days, cooler evenings. Like I said, it's just really sweet, sexy, masculine, and completely overlooked. Nobody talks about the OG anymore, so I'm going to give it some love. You can get it on the cheap. Check it out. Now, this next fragrance, I found all sorts of prices, so I averaged it out to be about $30. It is actually perfumed by the master perfumer, Alberto Morillas. Yes, that's the one. I am talking about Ferrari Uomo. I don't know that I've ever heard anybody say anything about this fragrance. I picked up a few of the Ferrari fragrances. I can't even remember which line this is, but the one that has the nicer cap, the heavier cap with like the little leather or pleather strap, I'm not sure which it is. Radiant Bergamot, some of those, you know, more popular fragrances are from this line. Now Uomo is perfect. It's perfect for spring, it's perfect for fall, which is what we're talking about right now. So it's gonna be along those same lines. On the opening of this, it's gonna be a little green and fresh, but it also has more of like a creamy leather. You know, where I said the other one was kind of a woody leather, this is more of a creamy leather. And it also has some nutmeg, tonka, and woods. A very, very masculine fragrance. There are so many different Uomos. You know, like I was talking to my friend Timmy from Imagine Scent the other day, and we were talking about Uomo fragrances. We're like, we could actually do like a top 10 Uomo list. So many Uomos. But for the cheap, this is one of the better ones that I have smelled. Ferrari don't really skimp on, at least on this line. I have smelled some super synthetic smelling Ferrari fragrances. This is not one of them. It actually has a really sexy masculine vibe about it, and the dry down on it is mwah. On this particular list, I didn't really go, you know, like from 8 to 1, but I did save the best for last. This is like, wow, for 20 bucks. Man, oh man. This one is from the tobacco collection of Zara. It's rich, warm, and addictive. And this fragrance is most definitely addictive for 20 freaking bucks. Now, here's a little tip before we get into it, because like as soon as you guys Google this, you're gonna see it for $45. You're gonna see it for $40. You're gonna see it for $43. You're gonna see it for $35. Go to Zara's website. That is the best place. It's actually like 19 bucks and some change. Let's just say 20 bucks to be fair. Now, let me tell you something about this. Whoa. I had actually heard in the community that this was like a good, you know, like dupe of Parfum de Marly Herod. Okay, if you feel that way, great, fantastic. No, I don't find that at all. I actually did a side-by-side with them like a couple days ago just to see. And obviously, like when I first sprayed it on, I didn't really get that Herod thing. I'm like, to be sure, yeah. So it definitely has, you know, tobacco and honey in it, but so do a lot of other tobacco fragrances. This is a much deeper and warmer and sweeter tobacco. The honey almost feels like it's been a bit enriched because it also has coconut in here, which kind of, to me, now I'm not saying that it smells like it, it just kind of, you know, made me think about it. I'm talking about Nishane Fan Your Flames. It does have that toasted coconut note in it as well, where I find that the coconut in this one actually just makes this sweeter. It almost gives it like a slight fruitiness almost. Now, you know, I do use that very loosely. It's just rich, sweet, warm, and very much an addictive fragrance. When I first sprayed this on, I was like, dang, this almost, you know, like, if you can say $20 niche, oh yeah. I mean, like, I'm not saying it's like, oh, blow my gourd, this, you know, people should pay 300 bucks, but for 20 bucks, you dang sure get your money's worth. So like I said, this one is like sweet, warm, and almost gourmandish. When you take that honey and that coconut and that tobacco, it almost gives off like maybe just a slight little candied vibe, or I'd rather say gourmand, because, you know, some people might interpret candy as, you know, like just like over the top sweet, and then they might say bubblegum. No, that's not what type of sweetness I'm talking about. I'm just talking about sexy sweet. I actually think that this could even go for like a unisex fragrance because of it being so sweet, but it's definitely still a masculine fragrance. So other than that tobacco, honey, and coconut, it also has some cedar and sandalwood that you'll get on the dry down, which is outstanding. Now, the performance on this is, you know, a little bit lackluster as well, but hey, if you took like an evening out, how long do you spend, you know, going to wear your mask into a restaurant to take it off to sit down and eat, and then put your mask back on to leave? What, maybe 2 hours, 3 hours? So yeah, this will last 4.5. Yeah, let's just leave it 4.5 hours. I think that's about safe, because I actually had this on last night went out to dinner with a friend, and when I got in his truck, he was like, dude, what are you wearing? And I told him, he's like, I'm gonna have to go check that out. So you definitely want to check out this Zara Rich, Warm, and Addictive. So like I said, I'm gonna make this a tag video. I kept mine for 35 or less, but let's make the cap 40 bucks. Down in the comments, let me know what your favorite fall banger for $40 or less is. Until next time, I'll see you on Carolina Fragrance Reviews.